Good morning. Happy Saturday, February 27th, 2021. Here's your paper, your Saturday morning paper. Start your weekend off with a read. Here's your coffee, my coffee. Start my weekend off with a sip. Did you have a rough night last night? Did you get wild? I will admit, I had a couple guests over. My in-laws. It's okay, they're vaxxed. We had some Chinese food. Had a beverage or two. It was nice. It was a nice little get-together. So, didn't mean that the kids, recognized that there was trying to be some sort of a harkening back to, the old days of just hanging out and having a couple pops, eating some food. They were awake most of the night still, I mean, sleeping in fits, and then waking up and crying for the pacifier or wanting something to eat or just kind of waking up and being a little fussy, playing in the crib. So the sleep could have been sounder, let's say, but it's still the weekend. And it just so happens that the in-laws will be taking them both tonight for a sleepover. So we'll make up for lost time, right? So that's pretty cool. In the meantime, we got a thin Saturday paper to get through before we close it down for the week with our reads, and we take off on Sunday and come back on Monday. There's a little bit of wetness on the paper today. It's a little rainy out there, but it managed to survive without getting too or getting any moisture in there. So it's nice and dry for us. So let's take it out of the plastic. You see, as we've discussed on our previous Saturday reads, it's a thin paper. This is a quick read. It's kind of like a send-off for the week. Usually it's like a quick hitter. So let's just separate the sections. We'll see what we're working with. See how long it's going to take us to get through. And I'm going to say bon voyage until Monday, right? First, separating a section. Here's your front page for Saturday, February 27th, 2021. The last Saturday of the month. The last weekend of the month. Approaching the last day of the month. You got the Phanatic there. So that's the image that you're choosing for our front picture above the fold. Scrolling through those cutout pictures of people in the stands. We're going to get more into what that means when we get to that section, which happens at the end of the program. We get to the front section at the end of the program. For those new to my show. Here's the region. Take it in. And then, like I said, it's a small section. You just got sports. Again, I'm just scanning this myself for the first time, trying to say, what's going on here? What am I going to be reading in more detail? Okay. We're doing sports. Get out, C, section C. Get out section C of your newspaper today and turn to the first page, section C. Place your eyes on the evergreen headline. But I think that's Jalen Mills. I'm correct. He's dyed his hair Eagles green all 5 years of his pro career. He can play corner and safety, and he led the team in defensive snaps last season. He had a $4 million cap number last season. He's among the Eagles' free agents. Who among them should be brought back? That is the question of this column today. What do you say we just take our time with looking at who the unrestricted free agents are, And we say, first let's look to see, do they have a quick hit on in terms of yes or no? We can just skip to the yes or no answer. We'll find out when we jump to C4, but first person unrestricted free agent is Jason Peters, offensive line. They say, nope, not even close at age 39. Not a discussion. So they say don't bring him back, which I think is probably a consensus conclusion. Jalen Mills, what do they say about him? They don't say yes or no. I just wanted a yes or no. Like, they give me a description. They give a whole analysis, which they should. They're sports writers for a newspaper. Totally understandable. It'd be nice if they just said at the beginning, no, or yes, and then went into the rationale. But we got Jalen Mills, Crevan LeBlanc, Hassan Ridgeway, defensive tackle, Vinny Curry, Nikel Roby Coleman, cornerback, Richard Rogers, tight end, Nathan Gary, linebacker, Duke Ridley, linebacker, Rudy Ford, safety, Corey Clement, running back, and Nate Sudfeld, quarterback. Those are all your unrestricted free agents this year. Your restricted free agents, Cam Johnson, your punter, and Josh Perkins, tight end. Your exclusive rights free agents, Alex Singleton, Boston Scott, your running back, and Greg Ward, wide receiver. And all those players sound like who? Like, I know them, but they all sound like, okay. Like, nobody's like, oh, I got to get that guy. Got to keep him. That's not my feeling, isn't that? I don't know. I don't get that kind of reaction to any of those names. That he's a must. He's a must keep. You want to look more about their takes on each of those people, go on Inquirer.com. Check for Les Bowen's piece. Read up on it. Today, Flyers almost back at playing at full strength. Take on the Sabres at 1. We're going to be at the Sabres today. Not that it matters without fans, like home ice advantage. I guess there's some advantage to just not having to travel somewhere, but it can't be the same. Voracek, Lawn, and Lindblom are returning prior to a 5-game road trip that starts today. It's called my COVID line, joked Alain Vigneault after practice, adding that all 3 players felt surprisingly good. They all return to practice Friday, expected to be in a lineup today. And as Alain Vigneault mentioned, all on the same line, the COVID line. It feels good to be back with the boys, obviously, said Voracek, who tested positive for the coronavirus but was asymptomatic. Quote, being locked in a room or your apartment for 14 days is no fun. No matter how big the apartment is and how much food I have and how comfortable my couches are and how many video game consoles I have and big screen TVs, it's no fun. Just making a joke. I'm making a joke at V's expense. Continuing on with the Flyers, they're really excited to see fans return. And so am I. I did see yesterday they're going to increase the capacity of Wells Fargo Center to 500 people from 250. That wasn't a big deal because a typical fanless game in the current setup already has about 250 people in the building, including teams, staffers, arena workers, etc. To bring fans back, the Wells Fargo needs more than 500 to be permitted to attend. So fans won't return until the state and the city of Philadelphia further lift the restrictions. For the Flyers, that could happen as early as their next home game. How about that? March 7th against the Caps. Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies are monitoring the situation. Outdoor venues can have 5% of capacity, up to 2,500 people. The Phillies, for example, will be allowed 2,150 fans at Citizens Bank Park. Another quote from Elaine. Elaine says, it'd be huge to have fans back because of the, quote, atmosphere they create in the building and the energy they bring. So while they're increasing it, they're doubling the capacity limit to 500. It's still not not for fans. So, while we love to see fans come back safely, it still is a development that's positive because taking those steps to get back more people. All right. That's Sam Charchidi, if you want to go read more about fans returning to Wells Fargo. Tobias Harris will be out today's game with a bruised knee, playing the Cavs, 7 o'clock at home. The MRI he had on Friday revealed no structural damage, but confirmed that the Sixers forward has a bruised knee. He'll miss Saturday's home game. Team said his status will be reevaluated, quote, in approximately 48 hours. Saturday's game will mark the 4th game Harris has missed this season. Not too many games he missed. Right? It's 4 games. So that's good. There's no structural damage. That's encouraging, right, for our title hopes. Turn into page C3. Dwight Howard is really a big fan of the Sixers. He says, we have what it takes. But he says there's warning signs. They got to add another player. There he is. You saw him yesterday. He made the cover of the sports section yesterday for his big game against the Mavs. Now he's making a C2 piece with a quote. That's a Mark Naducci article, if you want to read about that. What he has to say about the Sixers. A piece here on Joel Farabee, who Flyers fans know is really coming on this year as a young player for the Flyers. He's enjoying his new line mates. He says, James Van Riemsdyk and Sean Couturier are, quote, some of the most smartest guys I've ever played with. I think Reamer, that's JVR, Reamer. I love the hockey nicknames, don't you? Like, JVR makes sense, I guess, to have a nickname, but isn't JVR his nickname? They call him Reamer too? He's got like 3 of them. Has to be up there as one of the smartest guys in the league. It's pretty easy for me to be able to play with them. They find the soft ice so well. And I just try to find them and keep our legs moving. I think when we play fast together, we're pretty tough to stop. Let's see how fast they play today against an equally fast or maybe even faster Sabres team. Got some young, talented players on that Sabres team. Should be a good game. We'll go to the standings, check in on the Sabres. They are last in the East at 6-8-3, which, yeah, under 500, but not terrible. You know, any given Saturday. Sixers again will take on the Cavaliers, who are 12-21. On paper, it looks like 2 wins for Philly teams today, but again, you never know until you get out there. Let's take a look at the weather. Like I said, on my way out, getting the paper, it was raining. And it's supposed to be raining. Just periods of rain, though. What I understand, there's going to be a lull around noonish until this evening. And then tomorrow is more of the washout. At least that's according to Cecily Tynan over at 6ABC Action News. You know Cecily? Look her up if you don't know Cecily. She's a legend in this area for her weather reporting prowess. And then you got next week. We've talked about it before. It's gorgeous. You know, just skip over Wednesday, but otherwise, woo! Get out and about. Sunset, 5:51. Okay. You ready for the second to last section today on a slow read Saturday? Region. You like the region? If you don't, you should probably move. Okay. So Governor Wolf is reviving a push on charter funding, which I'm happy to see. Top of the fold here. There needs to be a reform for how charters are funded. Talked about it before in this program. You can look into the whole logistics of how they're funded. Taxpayer dollars that really aren't accountable to anyone. There's no public meetings about how they're spending your money. Much of that money, a good chunk of it, goes into advertising to get more students to come from your public schools, that you'll be then sending more money to those charter schools. So there needs to be a change. I mean, school choice, no problem with it, but how we enact that school choice, yeah, it's good that Wolf's taking a look at that. On Friday, he revived his push to overhaul how Pennsylvania regulates and funds charter schools, calling for measures that would send less money from school districts to support enrollment in the independently run schools. That's important to note, independently run. Again, consider a business that is funded by taxpayer dollars, where the taxpayers really have no say and or mechanism to learn about the operations of, in a very, operational sense, on a regular operational sense and basis, what's happening in those schools or in that organization that's being funded by the taxpayer dollars. It's kind of what's happening with charter schools, to be honest. The governor endorsed legislation Friday by Democratic lawmakers that aligns with a proposal he backed more than a year ago, aimed at curbing payments to cyber charters and changing how charters are funded for special education students. Wolf also said he would direct state officials to review how cyber charter schools had spent federal coronavirus relief money. Okay, see, we're starting to see, hopefully, some of the movement towards what did you do with the money we gave you? It's about time. Better late than never, I guess. Quote, when the charter school law was drafted, the intent was to bolster our education system, Wolf said. Instead, that outdated law has become, in some cases, no more than a license for draining funds from traditional schools while providing a poor education to students. Almost every district throughout the Commonwealth's 500 school districts have seen what it is to be a cyber school, said Representative Joe Crissy, Democrat out of Montgomery County. When the cyber schools would come back to us and say, well, you don't understand. Well, they understand now. I mean, every school district's had to pretty much offer a cyber school because of the pandemic. So it's a tipping point, we're there. Wolf said the legislation would save districts $229 million, including $130 million from setting a statewide rate for tuition payments from school districts to cyber charters. Read more about this piece from Maddie Hanna today. Maddie Hanna typically covers suburban education around the city of Philly. She gets the sole byline on this above the fold piece. There she is. There's Maddie's name. Center of the paper, of the front page of the Region, is a call for gun control. Days after 8 were shot, officials and activists pressure for stricter measures. There's a pull-out quote there. What's that say? Quote, we must stop the unabated flow of guns into our city. Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney. 10 days after 8 people were shot in broad daylight near the busy Olney transportation center, city officials and community activists gathered at the transit hub to pressure state and federal lawmakers to enact stricter gun control measures, or let Philadelphia enact its own. Renewing demands local advocates have made for many years, Mayor Jim Kenney said at a news conference Friday that the lack of action on existing gun control proposals in Harrisburg and Washington is contributing to the city's skyrocketing violence, with 294 people shot this year and 76 people killed. So, legitimate reason to gather, try to push back against those numbers, I would think. It's good. It's a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing that 8 people were shot in broad daylight. It's a good thing that, keep up the fight to get gun reforms in place. Keep guns off the streets. If you can. Flip into pages. B2, B3. There's another I'll thinking this was an article continuing on the article from yesterday we saw about the arson at the Revolution, I think it was called the Revolution Diner. But this is a different arson case, it looks like. That's Jeremy Roebuck, excuse me. Passing through the comics, turning to the last page where we see, you think I was going to let Saturday go by without CAROLYN? A paper read go by without reading about what CAROLYN has to say about a distant job offer and being a good parent? And then struggle with, which one do I do? Of course not. I was going to read that. And I'm going to read the scope. Okay? Okay. You want to see what she has to say about this? There's some reader's thoughts after she answers the question. I'll see if we want to get into them. We might not, but we'll see how we feel. Once we read the question, see if it's compelling enough for us to continue on this path. Question. Recently, I accepted a new job opportunity. It means I have to relocate 3.5 hours away from my ex-wife and 2 children, a 4-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy. I will no longer see my children during the week, but I do plan to get back at least twice a month for the entire weekend. I can stay at my parents' house and have them over there with me. My ex-wife is unhappy and my children are upset, but I'm in a financial hardship right now and this job would more than double my income. So I don't have a choice. What can I do to ensure that I maintain a strong bond with my children? My daughter is old enough to FaceTime with me, and I guess we can try that with my son too. What else should I do? And what does CAROLYN have to say? CAROLYN says, keep your promises. Follow through on all of your plans, the weekends and the FaceTiming and whatever else, against the pull of inertia, which will direct your attention away from them and towards your new town. Save your money like crazy, so you have more choices sooner than you would otherwise. And keep at least some degree of a job hunt going for something closer to your kids. I'm sorry about the hardship that put you in this position. It sounds as if you're doing whatever you can, which is something kids tend to see, eventually, through the surface details. They know when they're important, heard, loved. Shortest answer, use the extra income to show up, however possible. Okay. If any of you thinking about ditching your kids for a job someplace, pays more money, there's a little bit of a thing for you to think about, how to handle that. Should we see what one of these readers says? We got 4 reader thoughts. You can see the bullet points here show. We got 4 of these. Let's pick one of these 4 and see what a reader might say about that. Let's pick the smallest one. You should double check all the legal aspects of your move with an attorney, including multi-jurisdictional effects, custody, and visitation. It's a practical thing that you want to make sure you got all your ducks in a row with whatever you agreed with the visitation situation. Make sure you're not going to be violating any of that by moving out of the state, right? Thank you, CAROLYN. See you Monday. Till then. Scopes. In Saturday's scope. Any 5 stars for anybody out there? You want to see who your 5-star people are? Of course you do. You know I just read Scorpio, but I'll give you a 5-star if you got one. Virgo, you got 5. Taurus, 5 stars for you. Pisces, consider yourself blessed. 5 stars. Capricorn, whoa, a lot of 5 stars today. Sagittarius, 5 stars. Did anybody not get 5 stars today? Yep. Leo, you only got 2, so yeah. Scorpio got 5. Ooh, what's going to happen with the Scorpios today? Friends include you in their plans. The expectations of others draw you into group activities or a prominent role within an organization. You might assume the role of mediator or overseer. A light illuminates the future of an important relationship. A light illuminates the future of an important relationship. I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. Like, what kind of light? Like a spotlight? A door light? Like a flashlight? A light on somebody's, like, phone they're holding up and saying, I'm in an important relationship, come over here. Like, I don't know. Keep your eyes out for lights if you're a Scorpio. The rest of you, take advantage of your 5-star days. Doesn't happen every day. All right, so is that it for us in this region section? Yeah. Done. Done with region. Does anybody want to do the front section now? Okay, I do, so. It's my program, so that's what we're going to do. A1. A1, you want to take a closer picture of a Philly Phanatic strolling through these cardboard cutouts? Okay, let's do it. There he is. Or she is. I don't know. One day these will be actual people. It's going to be nice, too. I'm not saying I want them to be actual people prior to the time when we're ready for them to be actual people. I'm saying that it's going to be nice when we're ready to see actual people alongside a Phanatic. I hope we can all agree upon that. So the articles, they're trying to speed up the vaccines, which, yeah, I mean, come on. That should be the issue of the project, the goal from the get-go here. So doses, focus shifts from supply to distribution. Crowds, limits eased on eateries and sports venues. Here's a little graph of the easement of those restrictions, at least just in sports stadiums. If you want to take a look, it's on the front page underneath that picture of the Phanatic. It looks like they're doing, trying to do some due diligence here with, what the story is. Each square is equal to 500 people, including fans, players, coaches, and stadium workers. So, normal capacity is 67,000 for the link. And 2,500 because it's outdoors, which is only 4%. But it's a start. Under the fold, Melanie Burney gets a piece on some students don't want to return to classrooms. Freshman at Cherry Hill School East says, quote, going into school just makes no sense. If some of the teachers will just act like the kids in front of them are on the computer screen anyway. Meaning that if we're teaching in hybrid, where there's a segment of students in person, but we're still offering that same lesson, that same delivery of instruction, in real time to somebody on a screen, then the mode of instructional delivery and the way the teacher is teaching is affected. And this student apparently is saying it's not a good effect. It diminishes the in-person experience, it seems like. Eric Feldman misses his students. An overwhelming number of Collingswood High School students have decided to learn remotely, even though the South Jersey district offers in-person instruction. On most days, only about 30 students show up for school. Feldman, a history teacher, typically has 1 or 2 students in class, and sometimes none. Quote, I hate it, but it's better than everybody being sick, said Feldman, who has been teaching for 15 years. I miss the people. This is not what I signed up for. Yeah, Eric, safe to say it's not what anybody signed up for. Yeah. Across the region, districts are struggling to reopen schools. They hope to eventually get students back 5 days a week, but the kids don't always come back. Again, Melanie Burney, looks like she's going to write about Jersey schools. Because this would typically be either Kristen Graham or Maddie Hanna piece. So we're talking about Jersey schools here. Sometimes you get a South Jersey piece kind of thrown into the Inquirer mix because they cover that region too. So if you want to read more about that, which I probably will, find out on Inquirer.com or get yourself a newspaper. And that's right on page A1. Jump into A5. When I get to A5, I might scan the rest of that piece and see what other kind of quotes I might be able to read to the universe and work my time. And there's this whole piece on the restrictions that are going to be rolling back. If you want to learn more about, how they're going to handle dining and whatnot. There's a piece on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that was just approved. It's 1-dose vaccine. It can be stored for 3 months with refrigeration. The FDA could authorize for use as early as this weekend. There's a nice little graph here of the vaccines currently available and their breakdown of kind of how they work. You have Moderna's, Pfizer's, and Johnson & Johnson's now. And how many doses? They all need 2 doses, except for Johnson & Johnson. Hey, it's great. More options for vaccines coming out from different providers. It means more vaccines, which means more people being vaccinated, which means we can get those fans in the stands sooner. Let's hope. Oh, you want to see that picture of Eric Feldman? The guy who was talking about how he misses his kids? There they go. There's a guy who says it's not what he signed up for. Is that the student that gave us that quote at the beginning? Looks like he's a different student. No, that's Nolan Sampson. He's a sophomore at Lenape Regional High School. He decided to remain virtual, at least for another marking period. Okay, well, like I said, if you want to read more about that situation in Jersey, check out the Inquirer's website. There's a business insight here. I'm not seeing anything in the business insight that I want to spend time on. And I'm turning the page, and I'm seeing a Cadillac ad, and I'm turning, and I'm closing, and I'm saying, we're done. We're done! Or are we? Or are we? Bonus news! Bonus news! We're going to bring out the Daily Times today, the Delco Daily Times. For those who've stuck around until the end of the Inquirer read, you're getting some bonus news today. Ultra local, hyper local, the Delaware County Daily Times. First time I've tried this on a Saturday, which is when I think I would do it if I was going to do bonus news. It might not happen all the time because if it was an all the time thing, it wouldn't be a surprise. But today is your lucky day. I'm going to make it real fast. For those who don't know, Delco Times is like, just for Delaware County. So those may be far-flung different parts of the world here and can't get access to the Delco Times. You guys should be just jumping for joy right now. You get a chance to see what's going on local. Super local. Right? This is going to be a power flip. I'm going to get through this in like 2 minutes. Thank you for indulging me with this new bonus news. Ready? Let's see what's going on like here. Boom. Right? Look at these flips. They always show they always get a reader picture comes in and, you just print one. Send a picture into us. We'll see if we print it. Here's somebody. There's a cat on a countertop. Oh, you made it just in time for bonus news. You bonus news and a bonus guest. Yeah. We're
doing something to eat.
I'm good for now, but thank you.
Little eggs and a piece of toast.
Okay. Thanks. My chef over here cooked me up some eggs. That's sweet. Crazy, you made it just in time for this new feature that everybody's really excited about called Bonus News, where we're going to look at the Delco Times because it's super local and we're all about local news. And we're going to do it real fast though. Chester-Upland schools headed back to in-person learning. Superintendent Carol Burks says, quote, "I'm so excited to welcome our students back. I want to commend the faculty and staff. Done an incredible job. Great to have Chester-Upland come back. When are they coming back? That's fantastic. Reopening all its buildings. In-person learning beginning Tuesday, March 2nd. Yes. Well, what's next? Boom. A racist Zoom bombing is under investigation. When did this happen? Delaware County District Attorney's Office is looking into what has been described as a racist Zoom bombing that took place earlier this month during a digital meeting on judicial gerrymandering. Something happened during that Zoom meeting that was untoward. That's Alex Rose. Go on DelcoTimes.com. Check that out. Here's a little piece of, here's the section of the Delco Times where they print. This is not a precious, cherished column for those in the know. It's called Sound Off. What happens here is anybody or their mother can call into Delco Times at 484-470-6442 or email newsroom, and they can say what they want. They can scream into the voicemail, and the Delco Times might print what they say verbatim. So it's kind of a fun little voyeuristic sort of experience. Can someone please tell me why the price of gasoline has been soaring the last few weeks? Says Jack from Springfield. I just paid $2.83 in Springfield. Thanks. That's an example of what somebody would do. Why is gas so high? Why is the price of gas so high? Gosh darn it. All right. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to just power through. Okay. They also have a columnist and some scopes. They use Dear Abby though. Not as good as CAROLYN. They print a full-on TV guide. Yeah, make it easy for you. And they get the sports section, which I typically ignore, although it's kind of helpful when during like the throes of high school sports season. Yeah, a little like special thing on high school sports. There's one on swimmer. See, just a little teaser, just a little Delco. Whoa, just a little belch and a teaser of the Delco Times. Thought it might be kind of a fun thing to do. I don't know if it succeeded or not. I don't know if it was worth our time, but it was only 5 minutes. So, and it was at the end of the program, so you could always just skip it. What I'll do is I'll review the tape. I'll see if it worked out, and then I'll bring the segment back. If not, I'll just quietly retire it. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the Inquirer. You got something out of it today. And have a great rest of the weekend. Try to stay dry. Try to keep a smile on your face if you can. And enjoy the last 2 days of the month. And I'll see you in March. Take care. Thanks for stopping by.